beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having an amazing, marvelous, and magnificent day or night. And if not, I hope your day gets better. My name is Tati V, and if you're a true crime lover like me, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you already have, thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate it. Before we get into today's video, I just want to share a couple of things with you guys. First things first, I do have a true crime podcast called Talk True Crime to Me. It is available on Spotify. I'll leave it linked down below if you want to check it out. I'm not whispering. It's in my regular voice, however, it's still relaxing, as I've heard. And secondly, I do have a website. I will place it on the screen and in the description box below. I do have a true crime themed digital planners that are undated. So if you're interested in those two things, be sure to check them out. And lastly, shout out to my first comment winner, Allie Wally, or Ollie Wally 73. Sorry if I butchered that, but shout out to you. Thank you so much for being the first comment winner. Let's get into today's video. We will be reading our handy dandy true crime book that we are finishing pretty fast, a lot faster than the last book that we read. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, some water, some wine, anything that warms your little heart, and enjoy some crime time. Warning, this video may contain details of graphic content. This channel is for mature audiences only. Some viewers might find this disturbing. June 18th, 1990 has gone down in infamy for the people of Jacksonville, Florida. It was on this date that James Edward Poe went on a devastating murder spree. James was born February 16th, 1948. Oh, that's 1 year before my grandma was born. He grew up in Jacksonville. He was the youngest of 9 children. His father left the family when James was 9. James had a close relationship with his mother and tried to support her by helping around the house. Despite having asthma, growing up was difficult for James. Though he did his best to be the man of the house, he was not emotionally mature enough to take on that role. Between the ages of 17 and 18, he was arrested 6 times for various crimes, including vagrancy, attempted robbery, and assault. He eventually decided to get his life back on track and started working as a laborer, which would become his vocation for the rest of his life. The agency that located jobs for him ranked him as one of their top workers for his reliability. He attended college but dropped out shortly after his freshman year. A pivotal moment for James occurred in 1987 when his mother died. From that day forward, he was on a downward emotional spiral and became increasingly violent. Teresa, his wife at the time, alleged domestic violence and received an injunction preventing James from having contact with her. Court records showed 2 instances where he threatened her with a pow-pow, holding it to her head. They separated shortly after. James moved to Jacksonville's northwest quadrant, where he rented an apartment in an old duplex. He also found a girlfriend. On May 8th, 1971, a close friend of James, David Lee Pender, dropped by while James and his girlfriend were relaxing at home. During an argument, David called James' girlfriend a derogatory name. James's girlfriend carried a .38 caliber pow-pow in her purse for protection. When James heard what David had said to his girlfriend. He exploded in anger. What do y'all think happens next? He grabbed the pow-pow from his girlfriend's purse and put 3 bullets into David. David died while being treated at a hospital, and James spent the rest of his life haunted by the memory of what he had done to his friend. Now, here's my thing. You had to just automatically go to like killing him. You couldn't fight him. You know, I understand there's disrespect. He was wrong for what he said to his girlfriend, but you could have just fought him and everyone would have been alive and y'all probably would have moved past it. James was arrested and charged with murder. However, the charges were later downgraded to manslaughter. He avoided going to trial by pleading guilty to the lesser offense. James received 5 years of probation without jail time. Oh, I know David's family was heated. Oh my god. The court agreed to withhold the judgment of guilt if he completed the terms of his probation. Because of the deal, James did not have a criminal record. After the trial was over, James became even more reclusive. He was a loner who kept a predictable schedule of going to work and coming home. Without family or friends, he was rapidly losing reasons to live. One day he decided to trade in his old car for a 1988 Pontiac Grand Am. The General Motors Acceptance Corporation loan office financed the car. James experienced difficulty in making his car payments, which were higher than those for his old car. His Grand Am was repossessed in January 1990. James continued not to make his payments to the loan office, resulting in him receiving a bill for $6,394, which was a lot back in 1990. A lot. I would say today, probably twice, if not 3 times that amount today. He felt angry and upset about receiving the bill, which he just ignored. After all, in his mind, they were filthy rich and he had nothing. He received a second bill from the loan office 2 months later, which further fueled his anger. He felt like the world was against him. His father had abandoned him, his mother had died, his wife had left him, his best friend was dead. I wonder why. And the car that was so important to him had been repossessed. Now that damn loan company was coming after him for $6,394. Damn, I want to know how much that car was, because that's crazy. That was his breaking point, but James decided he was not going down alone. Of course, he's gonna take innocent people with him. On June 17th, around 12:50 a.m., James got his M1 carbine rifle. I've never heard of that. Pow pow. Wrapped it in a blanket and drove to a street corner a few blocks from his home. He was on a mission. He could not take his life anymore and wanted to die. He was going to take as many people with him as he could. The street corner that he drove to was very familiar to him. It was a common scene for prostitution and drug deals. Louis Carl Bacon, his last name's Bacon, a pimp, was standing at the corner. James pointed his rifle and shot Bacon twice in the chest. He left him lying dead on the sidewalk and drove a short distance further along the street. was then that James spotted Dorita Drake, a S worker. She was talking to some other S workers in a vacant lot. Bacon was Drake's pimp, and Drake had once taken James' money without giving him the good stuff. Intercourse. James shot her once in the head and drove on. James noticed two teenagers walking on the sidewalk. He pulled up alongside them. Acting as though he was lost, he asked them for directions to the freeway. After they assisted him, James thanked the youths, pulled out his rifle, and shot them both. Oh my god. The two youths were lucky. Oh good, they survived their wounds. In the early morning of June 18th, James drove past a convenience store. He made a U-turn and pulled into its parking lot. He got out of his car and entered the store, rifle in hand. Stepping up to the counter, he pointed his rifle at the clerk and demanded money. The clerk cooperated with James and gave him all the money from the register. James's next stop would have special significance for him. After fleeing the convenience store, James traveled to the cemetery where his mother was buried. I'm scared to see what he gonna do. He had visited her regularly in the past. He knew that this visit would be his last. He wanted to speak to her one more time. When he was done, he called his supervisor and told him he was not going to be able to make it to work that day. It was time to make his final stop. The General Motors Acceptance Corporation loan office was located at 7870 Bay Meadows Way. James pulled into the parking lot and got out of the car. He came prepared. He had an M1 carbine, a .38 caliber revolver, loaded magazines, and extra ammunition on him. The sight of James entering the building caused instant panic in the loan office. Two customers at the counter, Julia Burgess and David Hendricks, tried to run while office workers dove under their desk. Screams rang out as James fired at Burgess and Hendricks. Hendricks was injured but would survive. Burgess was not as fortunate. James then made his way into the office area. He fired at the person hiding beneath each desk he passed. Dave Woods, Cynthia Perry, and Barbara Holland died, while Phyllis Griggs survived her injuries. Employees working in the back office heard the shooting and tried to escape through a back entrance. While some of the employees managed to get away, others were not so lucky. Among those who did not escape were Janice David, Sharon Hall, Lee Simonton, Ron Echevarria, Nancy Dill, Denise Highfield, and Joel Belote. James had accomplished what he had set out to do, but one final act remained. Pointing his pow-pow at his head, he pulled the trigger. During the 2-minute massacre at the loan office, James had fired over 28 rounds from his M1 carbine, killing 7 people and wounding 6. So that was the ending of the first story. Man, that he killed like 10 people. I have to count them up all in total, but he killed 7 people, I think, at the loan office, and like 4 people, on the street. So that's 11 people, plus his best friend David, his friend that he killed over some words. So, oh my god, that's so unfortunate. pronounce this person's last name, so if I butcher it, I'm so sorry. Unruh. It was the late evening of September 5th, 1949, and 28-year-old Howard Baron Unruh was sitting in the movie theater. The double feature playing was The Lady Gambles and I Cheated the Law. This was the third showing of this double feature that he had viewed since his arrival at the theater earlier that day. He had originally gone to the movie theater to meet up with another man whom he was seeing. The movie theater on Market Street was a popular pickup spot in the gay community. Howard had arrived late to the theater and his date had left by the time he had arrived. Instead of going home, he had decided to stay for the movie. Though his eyes were directed toward the movie screen, his attention was on the thoughts that paraded through his head. He was mulling over all the ways his neighbors had persecuted him and how he could get back at them. Howard was born January 21st, 1921, in East Camden, New Jersey. His parents, Samuel Shipley Unruh and Freda E. Volmere, separated while Howard and his little brother were very young. His mother raised the boys on her own. Howard drove a tank for the 342nd Armored Field Artillery in World War II. During the Battle of the Bulge, he became known for his bravery and his habit of taking meticulous notes. He kept a record of the German soldiers that were killed, describing the condition of their corpse in detail. Howard's military service ended in 1945 with an honorable discharge. However, his return to civilian life was accompanied by his changes in his personality. Howard had a hard time holding a job. He worked in the printing industry for a while. However, he quit after less than a year. At one point, Howard pursued a professional career by enrolling at Temple University. He had decided to pursue a degree in pharmacy. However, again, he quit quickly, this time after just 2 months. He gave up looking for work and moved in with his mother. Howard became reclusive, spending most of his time in his room. It was heavily decorated with memorabilia from his days in the military. His collection of medals and firearms covered the walls. He set up a target range in the basement. Howard's relationship with the neighbors were strained. He developed paranoid thoughts, believing his neighbors were out to get him. Just as he had done in the military, Howard kept a detailed journal of all the ways his neighbors supposedly wronged him. He felt that the neighborhood tailor, Tom Segrino, had repeatedly shortchanged him. Tom's wife, Helga, had complained that Howard played his music too loudly. He was upset with another neighbor for throwing trash on his property. Howard was also upset with 33-year-old Clark Hoover, the neighborhood barber. He accused Clark of dumping dirt in a drainage ditch, which resulted in Howard's cellar flooding. The neighborhood cobbler, 27-year-old John Pilarczyk, was another target of Howard's discontent. Howard was mad with him for burying his trash too close to his property line. Another source of anger was the neighborhood teen who had tapped into Howard's electrical line to get power for his Christmas tree business. More than anything, Howard was upset with the local teenagers who called him queer and mama's boy. This especially bothered him because he was worried that they might have seen him hanging around the movie theater on Market Street. Howard had a girlfriend once, but the relationship lasted only a year. They met while he was serving in the military. He never had intercourse with his girlfriend, and he broke it off when he expressed the desire to get married. Since the breakup, Howard had been with numerous men. Despite dropping out of Temple University, he had kept his room in a nearby lounging house and remained there another year after quitting school. During that period, Howard spent his time with different men throughout the day. Howard stayed in the movie theater until 2:30 a.m. and then left to go back home. He had built a gated fence around his mother's home as a result of the paranoia he had regarding his neighbors. When he arrived home around 3 a.m., he saw that the gate to the fence had been stolen. The thief of the gate was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. Most people knew Howard would describe him as being meek and someone who would not hurt a fly. They did not know that Howard was a man about to explode. Howard had trouble sleeping due to his paranoia and building anger. He woke up around 8 a.m. ready to carry out his plan to strike back. He got dressed in a suit, white shirt, tie, and army boots, armed with his .38 caliber. Howard made his way to the back door, which was in the kitchen. He encountered his mother, who became alarmed when she saw the pow-pow. He threatened her with a wrench. She ran out of the house and headed for the neighbors. James exited the back door, made his way across the yard, and headed for the 3200 block on River Road. As he made his way down River Road, Howard saw a bakery truck parked on the side of the street. Seconds later, he saw the driver walking toward his truck. Howard aimed and fired. Fortunately for the driver, Howard missed him. He ran to his truck and sped off. Howard's first stop was at Pillar Chick's shop. As he entered the store, he shot Pillar Chick in the chest. Pillar Chick collapsed to the floor. When he saw that Pillar Chick was still alive, Howard shot him in the head, continuing his walk of death. Hoover was in the barber shop cutting the hair of a 6-year-old boy as his mother patiently waited. Suddenly, there was gunfire and a scream. Howard had shot the boy once in the head. Oh my God. He shot Hoover twice. Both died. The mother grabbed her dead son and ran out. Out of the store. Howard allowed her to escape. She and her dead son were picked up by a passing motorist. Oh my God. Howard passed a tavern and fired a shot through the window. He did not bother going inside as Frank Engel, the owner, was not on his list. Instead, Howard proceeded toward the pharmacy owned by Maurice Cohen. 45-year-old James Hutton was exiting the pharmacy just as Howard was about to enter. Howard dropped him with one shot and stepped over his dead body into the pharmacy. Maurice and his wife Rose had witnessed James being shot and had run for the stairs that led to their apartment above the pharmacy. Howard casually followed them. Wow. When he reached the upstairs apartment, he forced his way inside. As he walked in, he heard a soft noise coming from the closet. He fired 3 shots into the closet door and then opened it. It was Rose. He shot her one more time in the face and then went searching for her husband. Howard heard footsteps on the roof and headed for the fire escape. As he did, he passed a room and saw Maurice's mother inside. She was on the phone, talking to the police. He shot her repeatedly, then headed for the roof. Before reaching the roof, Howard saw Cohen on the roof. Cohen tried to run. Howard shot him in the back. Cohen fell off the edge of the roof and landed on the pavement below. Howard exited the pharmacy and continued his walk. He fired at passing motorists, killing 4 of them. Oh my God. He killed an additional motorist who had stopped by Hutton's body. Howard walked to the tailor shop. He was after Tom Cigaruno. Upon entering the shop, he saw that Tom was not there. Instead, he found Tom's wife, Elga. Crying, she dropped to her knees and begged for her life. He shot her in the head, killing her instantly. As he left the store, he noticed a movement of the curtains in the store next door. Howard shot into the window. Oh. Killing 2-week-old Thomas Hamilton. The curtains were dangling inside his crib and he was playing with them. By the time he exited the store, the entire business district had caught on to the shooting spree. Business owners offered pedestrians refuge as they locked themselves inside their stores. Howard now headed to his apartment. On his way, he passed the apartment door where 36-year-old Madeline Harry and her 16-year-old son Armand lived. He fired at them and both were wounded. Fortunately for them, Howard had run out of ammunition. Then he heard police sirens headed in his direction. 50 police officers surrounded Howard's apartment. In 1949, mass shootings were unheard of, so the police did not have the training to handle the situation. After they sent a hail of bullets into Howard's apartment, he eventually gave up. In 20 minutes, Howard had taken the lives of 13 people. 4 others have been severely wounded. During his interrogation, Howard accepted full responsibility for what he had done and offered the details of his crime in a clinical and detached manner. A psychiatrist evaluated him and found him to be suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. On October 20th, 1949, a judge of Camden County ruled that Howard was not competent to stand trial. Instead, he was sent to Trenton Psychiatric Hospital, where he was placed in the unit for the criminally insane. He was sentenced to 60 years. He died in 2009. Now, I cannot wait to see what that man looked like. That was the ending of today's video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in my next video.